You would think that when money gets tight, discount stores would be booming, but the opposite is happening across America. Bargain chains are closing by the hundreds, filing for bankruptcy, and watching their most loyal shoppers quietly walk away. But honesty first, this is not all decline, because a few of these chains are actually growing. And the real story is a shakeout, not a collapse. Using closure records, bankruptcy filings, and company statements, here is why people are stepping away from 10 familiar discount stores, and what the whole pattern quietly says about the economy underneath them. Before we start, hit like and subscribe. Let's get into it. 1. 99 cents only stores. Start with the most complete collapse, because it sets the tone. 99 cents only stores, a fixture of the West and Southwest for decades, filed for bankruptcy, and then liquidated every single one of its roughly 371 locations, eliminating around 10,800 jobs in the process. The bitter irony is right there in the name. A store built entirely on the promise of the 99-cent price point could not survive in an era when 99 cents barely buys anything, as inflation raised its costs faster than a fixed-price model could adapt. When your entire identity is a single low price and that price stops working, you have almost nowhere left to go. So while 99 cents only was sold for decades on the simple magic of one unbeatable price, that total liquidation quietly raises a question the cheerful branding was designed to prevent. When even the deepest discounter in the country cannot make the numbers work anymore, what does that say about how much the cost of everything has quietly risen underneath us? The 99 cents only failure is worth dwelling on because it is almost a perfect economic parable. A fixed price store has no flexibility built in when the cost of the goods on its shelves rises, but the price on the door legally cannot. The margin simply evaporates. For years, the chain absorbed rising costs, shrank package sizes, and quietly slipped items above the 99-cent line until the entire premise stopped making sense. It did not fail because people stopped wanting cheap things. It failed because cheap itself got more expensive to provide, which is the whole story of this era in miniature. 2. Big Lots. Big Lots was one of the biggest names in American discount retail, and its fall was one of the loudest. The closeout chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in September 2024, at which point it still operated nearly 1,400 stores across 48 states, and it began going out of business sales after a rescue deal wobbled. A last-minute sale to Gordon Brothers retail partners allowed some stores to be transferred and a version of the brand to survive, but the vast footprint that made Big Lots a household name was gutted. The chain that sold overstock furniture and closeout bargains was itself undone by weak sales, as its core middle and lower income shoppers simply stopped spending on the non-essential home goods that were its specialty. So while Big Lots was sold on the treasure hunt thrill of the unexpected closeout deal, that bankruptcy quietly raises a question the bargain branding is designed to prevent. When shoppers can no longer afford even the discounted extras, and a nationwide chain collapses around that fact, how much financial breathing room has quietly vanished from the average household? Big Lots is a particularly telling casualty because of what it sold. Its whole model depended on shoppers having a bit of discretionary money, a little extra to spend on a new sofa, a seasonal decoration, or a closeout kitchen set, the pleasant non-essentials of a stable household budget. When inflation squeezed those same shoppers, the discretionary spending vanished first, and a chain built on affordable extras found itself selling exactly the things people had decided they could live without. A discounter is supposed to be recession-proof, but only if it sells necessities, and Big Lots largely did not. 3. Family Dollar. Family Dollar is a slow-motion version of the same story, and the numbers are staggering. Between nearly 1,000 closures in 2024 and at least 350 more between mid-2025 and 2026, roughly one store a day, the chain shrank from more than 8,300 locations to around 7,100. Dollar Tree bought Family Dollar for around $8.5 billion in 2015 and sold it in 2025 for roughly $1 billion, a loss of about $7.5 billion that tells you how badly the business deteriorated. Executives pointed directly at the cause. Inflation and reduced government support, like cuts to food assistance, left their core low-income shoppers coming in but spending less. So while Family Dollar is sold on being the convenient neighborhood lifeline for tight budgets, that collapse in value quietly raises a question the friendly storefront is designed to prevent. When the stores built specifically to serve struggling families are the very ones closing fastest, what happens to the neighborhoods that had nowhere else nearby to shop? The Family Dollar story carries a human weight that the raw numbers can hide. These stores were deliberately placed in exactly the community communities other retailers avoided, rural towns and low-income urban neighborhoods where they were often the closest source of food, cleaning supplies, and basic goods for miles. When a chain like this shrinks by more than 1,000 stores in 2 years, it is not just a corporate restructuring. It is the quiet removal of a practical lifeline from the places least equipped to lose one, and the people affected are precisely those with the fewest alternatives. 4. Dollar General is the giant of the category, and its troubles show the pressure reaches even the top. The chain announced the closure of around 140 locations across its brands, revealed a weaker than expected forecast, and watched its stock fall by roughly 70% over about 2 years. Here's where honesty matters, though, because Dollar General is not dying. Even while closing underperformers, it kept opening far more stores than it shut, planning hundreds of new locations, and ending recent years with a net gain of stores, and it operates more than 20,000 of them. The company blamed competition from Walmart, Temu, and Shine, and openly acknowledged that its core customers, typically earning under $50,000 a year, are struggling to afford even basic necessities. The stores that closed were mostly underperformers, often in urban markets. So while Dollar General is sold on being the everywhere you look convenient discounter, that shrinking and stock slide quietly raises a question the relentless expansion is designed to prevent. When even the largest dollar chain admits its own customers can barely afford the basics, is the problem the store or the shrinking budgets of the people it was built to serve? The Dollar General case is the clearest reason this video refuses to be a simple story of collapse. Here's a chain closing stores and posting a plunging stock price, which sounds like decline, while simultaneously opening hundreds of new locations and running more than 20,000 of them, which sounds like health. Both are true at once. The honest reading is that Dollar General is not failing, but straining, wrestling with the same squeezed customer as everyone else, and its willingness to keep expanding even through the pressure is a sign the dollar store model itself is bruised rather than broken. It is also worth noting what Dollar General's stock slide really reflects, because it is easy to misread. A stock falling 70% sounds like a company on the brink, but a business can shrink in the eyes of investors while still serving millions of customers profitably every single day. The stock price is a bet on future growth, not a measure of whether the lights are on. The honest takeaway is that Wall Street lost faith in how fast Dollar General can keep growing, which is a very different thing from the chain being in danger of disappearing the way 99 cents only did. 5. Bargain Hunt. Bargain Hunt is a name many outside the Southeast never knew, and now may never get to because it vanished entirely. The closeout retailer filed for bankruptcy in February 2025 and closed all of its roughly 92 stores, another complete liquidation in a sector supposedly built for hard times. Its disappearance matters precisely because it was small and regional, the kind of chain that quietly serves a specific set of communities without ever making national headlines. When even a modest, lean, deep discount operator cannot survive, it signals that the pressure is not hitting only the overextended giants. It is crushing the small, focused bargain stores too. When the smallest and leanest discounters are dying right alongside the biggest ones, is anyone in this business actually safe? Or is the whole model under strain? There is a particular lesson in the death of a small regional chain like Bargain Hunt, because leanness was supposed to be its protection. Small focused discounters do not carry the enormous debt loads or bloated overhead that sink the giants. So in theory, they should weather a downturn better. That one still could not survive tells you the pressure is not really about any single company's mistakes. It is about the customers themselves having less to spend. When the problem is the shopper's empty wallet rather than the store's bad management, even a well-run lean operator has nowhere to hide. 6. Tuesday Morning was a beloved home goods discounter for decades, famous for its off-price housewares, decor, and closeout brand name finds, and it is now gone. After years of financial struggle, the chain filed for bankruptcy and ultimately closed all of its stores, ending a run that had lasted since the 1970s. Its demise fits the pattern exactly. Tuesday Morning sold discretionary home goods, the pleasant extras like decorative pillows, kitchen gadgets, and seasonal decor, and those are precisely the purchases people cut first when budgets tighten. A discounter that depends on shoppers having a little spare money for non-essentials is dangerously exposed the moment that spare money disappears, which is exactly what happened across its customer base. So while Tuesday Morning was sold on the delight of the affordable little home goods splurge, that closure quietly raises a question the cozy branding is designed to prevent. When an entire chain built on small, affordable luxuries disappears, what does it tell you about how many people no longer have room in the budget for anything beyond the absolute essentials? Tuesday Morning's fall is the discretionary spending warning written large. And it had been coming for years. A chain selling affordable home decor and close-out housewares lives entirely on the margin of a household budget that has a little room to spare. And that margin has been vanishing for exactly the shoppers it served. The company's long financial struggle and eventual liquidation were not really about pillows and kitchen gadgets. They were about a growing number of families quietly reaching the point where even a small, pleasant $10 indulgence no longer fit. And that is a genuinely sobering signal. 7. Rite Aid. Rite Aid belongs here because the value drugstore is a discount store for millions, and Rite Aid became the single largest closure story in American retail. Tracking showed the chain shut down nearly 1,300 locations while going out of business, topping the list of the most stores closed in a single year. For countless neighborhoods, the drugstore was not just a pharmacy, but the nearest place to grab discounted household basics, snacks, and toiletries, often the only convenient option for people without a car or a nearby supermarket. Rite Aid's collapse, driven by debt, competition, and shrinking pharmacy margins, pulled that everyday value hub out of communities that relied on it, part of a broader drugstore retreat that also saw Walgreens and CVS shrink their footprints. So while Rite Aid was sold on being the trusted corner store pharmacy and value stop, that vast wave of closures quietly raises a question the neighborhood branding is designed to prevent. When the corner drugstore that doubled as a discount shop disappears by the thousand, how far must people now travel just to buy the basics they once grabbed down the block? The scale of the Rite Aid collapse is genuinely hard to overstate, and its impact reaches far beyond prescriptions. Nearly 1,300 stores vanishing in a single year means 1,300 neighborhoods that lost not just a pharmacy, but a nearby, walkable source of everyday discounted goods. For an older person without a car or a family in a rural town, the corner drugstore was often the practical stand-in for a general store, and its disappearance forces longer trips, higher costs, and real hardship on precisely the people least able to absorb any of it ate. CVS and Walgreens value aisles. The two drugstore giants that survived are shrinking too, and it hits the same discount shopping habit. Both Walgreens and CVS have been closing hundreds of locations. They retreat from neighborhoods, especially lower income and rural ones. They take those affordable aisles with them, thinning out the map of places where a shopper on a tight budget can quickly grab inexpensive necessities close to home. So while CVS and Walgreens are sold on being the convenient, always nearby health and value corner, that steady retreat quietly raises a question the ubiquity is designed to prevent. When even the surviving giants pull out of the neighborhoods that need them most, who is left to serve the shoppers those stores leave behind? It is worth being fair that the surviving drugstore giants are closing stores to save themselves, not out of carelessness. And a leaner chain that endures is better than another one that collapses entirely. Their retreat is a rational response to real financial pressure. But rational at the corporate level and painful at the neighborhood level are not contradictions, and the honest picture holds both. The companies may well be making sensible decisions for their own survival, while the communities losing those value aisles experience something that feels much more like abandonment. And both of those things are simply true. 9. Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree earns a spot for the opposite reason for most of this list, and honesty demands the distinction. Dollar Tree did not collapse. It changed, abandoning the very thing that defined it. The chain that built its entire identity on everything costing $1 broke that promise, moving to a multi-price model with items well above $1. For loyal shoppers, that was a real loss of trust, the end of the simple, reassuring certainty that everything in the store was $1. And yet, commercially, the change is working. Dollar Tree has posted solid same-store sales growth and rising traffic under its new multi-price format, even as it closed some underperformers and shed the struggling Family Dollar brand. It is the clearest proof that this story is a shakeout, not a simple death spiral, because the same pressures killing some chains are pushing others to successfully reinvent themselves. So while Dollar Tree was sold for decades on the pure simplicity of the $1 promise, that broken pledge quietly raises a question the new branding is designed to prevent. When the last true dollar store decides $1 is no longer enough, is it abandoning its shoppers or simply admitting out loud what inflation already did to the value of $1? The Dollar Tree pivot is genuinely the most optimistic entry on this list, and it deserves to be read that way. Faced with the same brutal cost pressures that liquidated its competitors, Dollar Tree chose to break its own defining promise rather than die defending it, and the gamble is paying off in real sales growth. There is a loss in that, the end of a beautifully simple idea, but there is also a lesson. The chains that survive this shakeout will largely be the ones flexible enough to abandon abandon what no longer works. Sentiment did not save anyone here. Adaptation did. There is an irony worth savoring in Dollar Tree being the survivor. For years, it was almost a novelty that anything could still be had for a single dollar. A small, defiant holdout against inflation that shoppers genuinely loved. By finally surrendering that gimmick, the chain admitted publicly what everyone already felt privately, that a dollar simply does not stretch the way it used to, and it was rewarded for the honesty with growth. Sometimes the healthiest thing a brand can do is stop pretending the world has not changed, even when the pretense was the very thing customers adored. 10. The real winner. Temu, Shine, and Walmart. The final entry is not a store people are leaving, but where they are going instead, because shoppers have not stopped hunting bargains. They have changed how. Struggling discount chains name the culprits themselves. Ultra-cheap online sellers like Temu and Shane and the sheer scale of Walmart are pulling value shoppers away from the traditional dollar store aisle. The logic is simple and a little sad. Why drive to a picked-over dollar store when an app can ship something even cheaper to your door? Or when one Walmart trip covers everything at once? The convenience and rock-bottom prices of online marketplaces, combined with Walmart's growing grip on low-income grocery and household spending, have quietly redrawn the entire discount landscape. What happens to all the neighborhood stores that value shopping was built around for the last 50 years? This shift online is arguably the deepest force in the entire video, because it is not a temporary squeeze, but a permanent change in how bargain hunting works. An entire generation of shoppers now instinctively opens an app before driving anywhere, and ultra-cheap overseas marketplaces have made the physical dollar store's core promise, astonishingly low prices on small goods, available from the couch. Combined with Walmart's one-stop dominance, this leaves traditional discount chains squeezed from two directions at once, and it is why their struggle looks less like a bad patch and more like the slow close of an era. So 10 stores, 10 warning signs, and one very clear message about the economy underneath them. Here's what it actually means for you, and how to shop smart as the map is redrawn. What actually works, shopping smart. Through the shakeout, first understand what is really happening so you can use it. This is not proof that bargains are vanishing. It is a reshuffling of where the best value lives. As chains close, watch for genuine going out of business deals, but check prices carefully, because liquidation sales are often marked up from clearance before being discounted. Compare the dollar store unit price against Walmart, a warehouse club, and even online sellers, because the assumption that a dollar store is automatically cheapest is exactly the habit these changes should break. Second, protect yourself against the thinning map. If a discount store or value drugstore in your area is closing, identify your backup before you need it, especially for prescriptions, where you will want to transfer to another pharmacy in advance rather than in a panic. Buy shelf-stable essentials in sensible quantity when you find a real deal. Lean on store apps and loyalty programs that now hold most of the actual discounts. And remember that the cheapest sticker is not a bargain if it is a lower quality item you will simply have to replace. Value is about the whole picture, not just the lowest number. Third, watch the shift online with clear eyes, rather than simply following the crowd. The ultra-cheap apps that are pulling shoppers away really are cheap, but the savings can come with slow shipping, uneven quality, and returns that are more trouble than they are worth. So they suit planned, non-urgent purchases far better than things you need today. For anything you need immediately or need to be reliable, a nearby store, even a slightly pricier one, is often the genuine better value once your time and the risk of a bad product are counted. The smartest shoppers in this new landscape are not loyal to a store or an app. They are loyal only to whatever actually delivers the best total value for each specific thing they buy, which means the decision, as always, is about information, not fear. Information. Dollar Tree is growing, Dollar General is still net opening stores, and off-price chains like the ones selling brand name clothing are actually gaining ground. What is dying is not discount shopping itself, but one particular aging version of it. What is genuinely true and worth understanding is the cause underneath. These closures are, above all, a symptom of pressure on lower-income households squeezed by years of inflation, reduced government support, and stagnant budgets, so that the people who most need cheap stores can suddenly afford even less at them. The dollar store crisis is really a window into a strained consumer at the bottom of the economy, and the empty storefronts are the visible edge of an invisible squeeze on millions of family budgets. There is also a real cost here that goes beyond shopping, and it deserves to be named plainly. When these stores close in rural towns and low-income neighborhoods, they often leave behind what researchers call retail long-tail deserts, places where the nearest affordable option is now miles away, which hits hardest exactly the people with the least ability to drive farther or pay more. The loss of a humble dollar store can quietly remove a genuine lifeline from a community, and that is worth caring about even if you never shopped there yourself. So the practical version is steady and clear. Do not panic and do not assume bargains are gone, especially pharmacies, and let the apps and clubs do the discounting they now specialize in. Shop the whole picture, price, quality, and convenience together, and you will keep finding real value no matter how the map gets redrawn around you. If this helped the closures near you make more sense, go ahead and like it. It helps this reach the people who need to see it. Share it with someone who has watched their favorite discount store shut its doors and wondered what on earth is going on, because now they will know. And if you want more videos that pull apart what is really behind the everyday changes most people never question, subscribe and turn on notifications, because the more clearly you understand how these decisions actually get made, the better the decisions you get to make for yourself. We will see you in the next one.